We begin with the future of the Republican Party, with the only name-brand, nationally known, household word Republican politician in America who is not named Bush or Cheney. The biggest unanswered question in American partisan politics in 2009 is whether Sarah Palin represents the future of the Republican Party or not. Now untethered from the responsibilities of governing or even of campaigning, Ms. Palin is at this point a pure political celebrity. And this week, as a celebrity, the launch of her memoir will dominate the headlines. Whether or not you are interested in Ms. Palin as a personality, the quantifiable truth of her star power, and the absence of anyone else in the GOP having any right now, means that you can't really understand American partisan politics today without understanding her political power. Since coming in second, along with John McCain in the election last year, Governor Palin has made three big gambles on her political future. First, in July, she quit as Alaska's governor, leaving before even her first term was up.
I will support others who seek to serve, in or out of office, but I won't do it from the governor's desk. I've never believed that I nor anyone else needs a title to do this.
I don't believe I need a title to do this. That was her first political gamble, dropping her one position of political authority, her job as Alaska's governor. The move was viewed broadly as inexplicable. People running for higher office generally announce they won't run for another term rather than quitting in the middle of their first one, so as to demonstrate at least a basic interest in governing, which after all is what you're asking voters to give you the power to do when you run for office. Governor Palin's second gamble came this fall when she endorsed the Conservative Party candidate Doug Hoffman in a special election in New York State. That split on the right, that split between national celebrity conservatives like Governor Palin and the local Republicans whose candidate she attacked, threw that seat in Congress to the Democratic Party for the first time since roughly the Civil War. Governor Palin's third gamble was coming out with this new book. It is a modern American political tradition for campaign staffers and strategists and consultants and underlings to write books about their political experiences. Books like that are generally an effort to move upward politically. They're an effort in upward political mobility. It's people who worked on a winning campaign or in a beloved administration, they, in these types of books, take credit graciously for things that went so very well. People who worked on losing campaigns or in unpopular administrations, they use books like this to name and blame other people for losses and scandals for which those staffers might otherwise be blamed. It's not rocket science, it's political underling 101. But there's a reason candidates for future office themselves write books about policy and history and things other than who's to blame other than themselves for their last losing campaign. Governor Palin's book is the third of three political gambles that she has made since she and John McCain lost the election. And none of these three gambles has gone her way. I'm not sure she knows that, though.
What I didn't understand was you saying that you could better serve the American people, the Alaskan people, by not being governor. I didn't understand that.
I decided, no, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to fight for Alaska's issues, and I'm going to fight for what I think is right for Americans on a different plane, and that's what I've been able to do. And it's
just as not ordinary citizens, because you will never be an ordinary citizen.
But no, as an ordinary citizen, without having to worry that everything that I were to say would result in another lawsuit or another ethics violation charge.
This is what I was wondering.
Okay, but my dad's quote, I think it sums it up better perhaps than I'm summing up. He says, she's not retreating, she's reloading.
Reloading.
Yes, she's able to get out there and fight for what is right.
Does that mean you're reloading for 2012?
I'm concentrating on 2010 and making sure that we have issues tackled as Americans to make sure that we're on the right road.
Like her resignation of her governorship, Governor Palin sees her new book and her new book tour as setting herself up for national political leadership. In Governor Palin's own mind, she is, as she said, leading her party to 2010. She's focused on 2010, the midterm elections. She's focused on them by making a book-length attack on the campaign that plucked her from obscurity and vaulted her to the household name status she enjoys today. She attacks the campaign manager, Steve Schmidt, for being a smoker. She calls him overweight. She accuses Mr. Schmidt of swearing in front of her children. She accuses Mr. Schmidt and others of scripting her on the campaign to the point of political incoherence. Mr. Schmidt has dismissed Palin's criticism as fiction. Governor Palin accuses Nicole Wallace, another senior campaign aide, of being disloyal to President George W. Bush, in whose White House she served as communications director. She further accuses Ms. Wallace of acting essentially as a mole for CBS News on the campaign, pushing Palin into an interview with CBS anchor Katie Couric because Nicole Wallace used to work for CBS, despite the fact that the interview was bad for the campaign. Ms. Wallace similarly has dismissed Palin's criticism, saying she, quote, didn't have to make stuff up, and saying, quote, it's not even like it's slightly wrong. I feel totally the opposite. One of our producers has done a more extensive interview with Nicole Wallace late this evening, just before we've gone on the air. We will bring you Ms. Wallace's full statement on tomorrow's show. You should look forward to that. Like a junior speechwriter or a fired pollster, Palin is portraying herself in her book and on the media tour that accompanies the book as the one who really knew the right thing to do. But she was steered wrong by the incompetent and blinkered people around her. If only they'd listened to me, she says.
Let's talk about the interview with Katie Couric.
Must we?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You talk about it in the book, so I assume everything in the book is fair game to
it is.
You do say that it wasn't your best interview. Were you prepped for that interview?
Not so much, because it was supposed to be kind of a lighthearted, fun, working mom, speaking with working mom and the challenges that we have with teenage daughters. It was supposed to be more lighthearted, and we were going to have just one installment, one segment of the interview, and if that went well, if we connected, then we would schedule more. So after the first segment, which didn't go well, I didn't do very well. I was annoyed with kind of her badgering of questions and didn't do well, so I was very surprised.
Why did you do the second interview?
Well, it was scheduled to do a second, and then a third, and then a fourth, and I don't know how many segments we finally were pieced together in the package and aired, because I was absent too from what the final outcome was, but I know that there were hours of tape that was shot.
Did you think that was a seminal, defining moment for you, that interview?
I did not, and neither did the campaign. In fact, that is why segment 2 and 3 and 4 and maybe 5 were scheduled. The campaign said, right on, good, you're showing your independence, this is what America needs to see, and it was a good interview. And of course I'm thinking, if you thought that was a good interview, I don't know what a bad interview was, because I knew it wasn't a good interview.
If only that dumb campaign hadn't listened to me. They should have listened to me. If only they'd listened to me. Governor Palin is still taking pains to personally compliment her running mate, John McCain, whenever she's given the opportunity to. But it is all in the context of slamming his campaign and the people he chose for his staff, many of whom are now slamming her right back. McCain strategist John Weaver telling Politico.com today, quote, the score settling by someone who wants to be considered a serious national player is petty and pathetic. There's no single path to building political power in America. There's no one road to the presidency. It is possible that quitting a governorship, endorsing a disastrous down-ticket spoiler third-party candidate, and writing a book-length denunciation of the campaign that made you famous is the new way we make leaders in America. It's more likely not. And so the challenge to the Republican Party is much more clear this week with the publication of Governor Palin's book than it was before this week. Sarah Palin will continue to be the biggest celebrity in Republican politics by a country mile. But in all likelihood, she will not be the party's formal standard bearer. She will not, in all likelihood, be their candidate. And so some other Republican will have to figure out how to become that standard bearer, how to become that candidate, while she is still taking up all the room on the stage. Stay tuned.